Welcome back to your favorite reaction channel. I am your host, Jarena, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be checking out the Whatever podcast, and the title of this video is She Got Triggered After They Told Her the Harsh Truth. Now, basing it off of the question on the screen, it looks like that they're going to be asked to rate themselves, and I'm sure that the rating that they give themselves does not match reality. Because let's face it, unfortunately, women in Western society have a lot higher number on their looks, which is actually subjective. It's not your self-esteem and how you look are two different things, but I can't wait to check it out. If you haven't done so, please make sure that you have hit that subscribe button. A lot of you have. I know that we're going to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark by Christmas. And go ahead and give the video a like so that YouTube will know that we are awesome and we can grow this channel together. Let's check this out.
Fifthly, ask everyone to rate their looks on a scale of 1 to 10. Their looks. Physical looks, scale 1 to 10. We'll start with you. We'll go around the table. Go ahead.
8. No, 8.5.
8, 8.5.
I'm 10. No.
7. 8.
6.5.
Too low.
I'd say 7.58.
4. That's lower than last time. I used to say 6. I'm a 5.
In front of all these beautiful women, how could I ever not humble myself down to a
That was so full of sarcasm, but you know, I will give him credit that I would say about a 4, 3.5. The guy with the beard on the left with the flannel shirt, I would give him maybe a 4.5. But the two gentlemen that are on the right, I think that they both are 8.5. So, you know, I'm not going to say 9, 10 because there's always room for improvement. There's always going to be someone better looking than you. That's just how it goes. I mean, there's billions of us. We all can't be 10s. And for the women, oh, that's a whole other issue. I mean, I want to see what they're going to rate them before I say what I'm going to rate them.
Proud of you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Took guts.
I'm a 5. So wait, 8, 8.5, 10.
I'm sorry. The first girl is not an 8. She's just not. And it's not really even to do with her size per se. It's more along the lines of, well, that's a factor. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not a small chick either, which is why I would never label myself that high. Not because of my weight, but I'm just being realistic. Like, looks are subjective. Normally, like, symmetrical features people find more attractive. And when you're asking to rate your looks, you're basing it on what others see, not how you see yourself. Like, self-esteem and how you look are kind of two different things. I know they get conflated and they're actually kind of intertwined, but it doesn't mean if you give yourself like a 5, like I would say that I'm a 5.5, 6. You know, that's just being honest on the looks part. I'm not, there's some of my features that aren't symmetrical. And I put on some weight. So let's just be realistic about it. But, you know, I still have a high self-esteem. You know, I'm able to be realistic about the looks department. Plus, I'm 40. You know, there's always going to be 20-year-olds that are going to be way higher than I am. But let's continue.
7? 8? Okay. All right.
You rated yourself lower than usual.
Yeah, I've been
Wait, what
getting a
did you
little
rate
chubby.
yourself?
6.5.
See, now that's humble.
Yeah.
Humility
That's
right there.
humble. That's humility. Right? That's the thing that's usually harder for men to do. Just saying.
I've noticed a pattern here. I think men tend to barely act
Sorry,
self-
my dog Blue was doing something.
attractiveness, whereas
I've heard
Women
men
not
have
so much.
more self-esteem issues than women do.
what's that?
I've heard men have more self-esteem issues than women.
I don't know who told her that.
Why would you say that?
Just, and I also heard that they're also more emotional.
Are they?
No.
Who have you heard these
Yeah,
things
because
from?
well, I mean, you guys will act off based off pride, and then it's gonna be like an emotion thing. Not necessarily
Okay.
logic.
Do you think
But-
men or women have more cosmetic surgery?
Women.
I think probably women.
Yeah, probably women. Do you think that that's because they have way more self-esteem than men?
To be honest, he didn't have to say it with such attitude. He could have just asked the question, but I see that that's kind of like his personality type. But I mean, you could have just asked it, bro. I'm just saying.
Don't think that necessarily what I'm talking about is the same thing. I just mean,
Well, I think it is.
well, for instance, you just rated yourself a 4, right? And maybe people may not agree with you, and I just rated myself a 10, and people may not agree with me, right? But we're
We
just talking about
don't.
People are self-esteem. My self-esteem is clearly higher.
No,
than
I'm
yours.
not sure that we are. I think that what we're talking about is value judgment. And I think that I'm making a way better value judgment than the value judgment that you're making. So the value judgment that I'm making is this. I'm old, and I'm married, and I'm out of shape, and I smoke, right? And I'm not a very pleasant person to be around for long periods of time, especially for the opposite sex. Like, I know all of these things about myself, so my value judgment overall is a 4. Tell me the value judgment of how you came to a 10.
Oh yeah. I just think that in general we should think that we are great.
Right, so you just decided it with, there's no value judgment there. You just,
She just basically said, "Yeah, I just made it up in my head that I'm a 10." like on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a 10, there's no room for improvement. There's always going to be room for improvement. You know, that's why I have a hard time with anybody rating themselves as a 10. I'm sure they're out there. I've never met them nor seen them. I've seen some 9s, some 9.25s, some 9.5s, but you know, I don't think I've ever seen a 10. And if you have, please let me know. I would love to know. And I know that some people are going to say that their partners are 10s and whatever. But like I said, I'm talking about objectively, or, you know, like, I guess beauty is subjective and, you know, how we look. But you know a good looking person when you see it. You know, Matt Rife is a good looking individual. I still wouldn't give him a 10. I would say he's about an 8.75. But, you know, it's funny.
just decided it.
Yeah, he asked me what I look
See,
like myself,
she's-
and because it's my opinion
Looks.
about myself,
Just looks.
it took a long time for me to love myself, and I do now. And so yeah, I think that, like, you know, I'm a Misty 10.
I have a question for you. Wait, hold on, just one sec. Do you
And
think
you're a 7.5?
I said 8.
How did you come to that value?
Because I don't put within my value within a rigidity. That's not the right word. Rigidity. Thank you.
Rigidity, yeah.
I don't put that within that rigidity of certain, I guess,
Value judgments.
more subjective opinions about what value is. Because I know my value, I know my worth, and I know my beauty that I hold within myself for myself, and that is appreciated by other people. Because at the end of the day, beauty is subjective, and it is absolutely within my right to hold myself to a higher value in how I conduct myself in the world around me.
Yeah, but
Just because it's your right to hold that value does not mean that someone else is going to see you at that same value. And my question is when you hold yourself at such a high value, when in most circumstances that wouldn't be the case. Like if you just did a random sample of people on the street on what they would give you as a rating, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you really think that they're going to give you an 8? I mean, I don't think I'm going to get an 8. But you do. And then if you believe that so much, what happens when you're faced with that reality? Do you just stay inside your own reality and that it's whatever you believed? Don't get me wrong. I think every person should have a high self-esteem. I do. I think you should love yourself, but I think you should be realistic as well. That if you continually tell yourself that you are all of these great things, let's just say that you're the smartest person in the world, like you're so intelligent because you have this degree and you have that degree, yet when it comes to actual like IQ test or, you know, even things as common sense, you don't perform well, and then someone tells you don't perform well, that goes against what you believed all of this time. And I just think sometimes, especially women need to be, told what reality is, and like I said, she's not an 8, and that's obvious. And I think I think her score would actually go lower because of her inflated worth. I might be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. I have brothers only. I don't have any sisters. So this, concept of lying or the white lies to make you feel better was never really part of the conversation. It was quite the opposite. They were going to tell you your flaws and they were going to let you know immediately. And so I think that it makes you stronger knowing, that you do have flaws, that you're not perfect, because none of us are. But I've been on a tangent for a minute. I'm going to let this play.
When you're talking about the value judgment here, my wife, I'm sure that she has a way higher value judgment of me than I have of me. I would agree that she probably should. From her subjective assessment, she probably thinks I'm a great provider. She thinks I'm a great father. She thinks I take care of all of my responsibilities and duties. She can 100% trust me. So she probably has this really high value judgment of me. But when I'm doing an actual assessment of like Andrew Wilson, the person, my looks and how it's reflected outwards to other people, right? I'm adding this value, this value, this value, this value, this value, like a mathematical formula to come up with that equals 4. What are you doing to come up with that other than I just think that we should have high self-esteem because I just think so.
I know I'm a good person. Because
That doesn't translate to looks.
I don't have a busted face. I'm fat. And if people want to reduce my value because of my fatness, that's not my problem. And that is not the ideology I hold for myself. I am someone who is pursuing weight loss, not for aesthetics, not for looks, but for my health. And it is something I'm moving forward with because I have been for the past 2 to 3 years now working on my self-love and loving myself into a place to care enough about myself to take my health back into control. When I was being consistently shamed when I was gang stalked on r/fat people hate in 2015, when I have
Looks like it works.
I'm still speaking.
I mean, it looks like it works.
I'm still
right?
speaking.
It
and
works because you're going to change.
You're really great at over talking and being disrespectful, and I'd love the opportunity to get my point across.
Okay, but so just to cut in here a little bit, the original question was rate your looks because
Yeah.
you mentioned your personality. You have a great personality or whatever it is.
And like I said, my fatness doesn't devalue me.
Why?
So I'm an 8.
Why doesn't it?
Because I think that fat
Because you
can be beautiful. It's my assessment of my looks, right?
Yeah, but why is it that your own assessment of your looks has nothing to do with how the external world perceives you? That's my
Because
problem.
I don't give a shit.
Right, because you don't care, so there's no
I
real
don't care
value judgment.
I don't care about other people's
how can
opinion
you-
of
how
me.
can
It's
you
not more
speak for
important
the
than the
rest
opinion
of the
I want of
world?
myself.
Yeah,
And
it
if
is.
If you don't live that way, that sucks for you.
If there's a value judgment of how you would self-assess your own looks, the only possible conceivable metric I could even think of would be the perception of how other people view you for your value judgment
And
of
I
how
was in a
you look.
relationship for almost 8 years with someone who thought my
How would you-
body
how could he-
was
how could
the
you ever
most
come up with a
beautiful
metric?
thing he had ever seen.
That's one person.
He had told
Like, that's one person. Like, you're talking about a scale of 1 to 10. That's an average. Like, you're taking a sum. So, like, you can't base it off of one person. Like, this poor girl, and she is combative when she finds out that people don't agree with her, which it kind of goes back to my point. Like, what happens when women have an inflated self-esteem and then they're met with facts and reality? Because no matter how much we would love for the world to be sunshine and rainbows and that, people are going to tell you the same thing that you believe in yourself, because that's just not human behavior. It's not going to be that way. I'm sorry. I don't want to burst that bubble, but, when you're adults, it's time to burst that bubble. Life's hard. People are sometimes rude. People don't look at you the way you look at yourself. But don't make that harder on yourself by having an inflated ego, because that's what it is. It's an inflated ego. I'm glad that she's trying to address, her health, which I'm trying to do the same thing. That's the reason that I want to lose weight, is because it's healthier. It's healthier for your heart. I'm 40. That's kind of like your midlife way through. And that's only if I take care of myself. So it's time, that I get back into that. But I hope that she continues on that journey.
Told me that more often than not.
Go ahead.
He had told me that more often
Wait,
than
can you
not.
speak certain
Yeah,
things?
he had told me that more often than not. I have been pursued by many men who think
Why
I'm
is she
gorgeous and
yelling?
beautiful. That perception exists whether you have it or not.
Okay, so assume for a second, I can assume inside of, I can envision a world where you're the only human being who's inside of the
And
world.
guess
Oh
what?
my
I know
God.
you're the only one who thinks
And
I'm
if
hot,
you're-
and I know that bugs the shit out of you.
If you're the
dude.
only human being who's inside of a world, I can perceive, perceive that I can come up with whatever metric I want for myself, because I have nothing to compare it to. So if I have nothing to compare it to and I have nobody else's value judgment, then I can say I'm the most beautiful person who's ever lived, and that would be true. But if I have the value judgment of hundreds of millions of people to compare the standard to, and I know that I'm below that threshold and just decide that I'm above that threshold anyway,
I'm not the only
that's not
person who
based
makes
on
that
anything
decision.
objective. You're just making shit up.
It was a made up opinion from us.
Yeah, it is. For sure.
He's so mean. He's so mean. But I'll be honest with you. My brothers would have told me the same thing. If I'd had some outlandish, ridiculous idea about myself, they would have corrected it. And I'm glad that I have them, because that's how it should be, I think too many of us live in fantasy land, and it's just, this is a funny one.
It's
That
way
was the point.
overstated.
That
What's
was the
true?
point. The only person who's not happy
Your
about that is you.
perception of your truth is not the same for my.
I will tell you right now, there is nothing that gets under my skin more than your truth. I am sorry, but people that say that's your truth do not, 9 times out of 10, don't acknowledge the actual reality of what we live in. There is the truth. There's this side and that side and things that happen, but there's no your truth. We cannot live in a reality where each person has their own truth, because then we have no reality. Then it's whatever we want. So by that statement right there, I understand completely where they're getting their numbers.
Myself or anyone else.
Yeah, what is truth in a
And
world
also,
that you're...
and what societal standards in which country?
I must
In
bug the
every
shit out of
country
you.
on planet Earth, she's not an 8.
Wait, what?
You're ridiculous.
I don't-
It's ridiculous.
In different places, different people like different things.
Yeah, he's so combative, bro. It's wild.
Well,
He gets very upset and then he
I
turns
live,
his
I
game.
live in reality. Do you know what
And
reality
that is
is?
the bottom line here, and I've been respectful. We're how many
It's not
hours in?
disrespectful. I'm just telling you what's true.
Oh, what was
I think it's
what
like
was
the
the about me
energy.
being a mother, bro?
That
the
was
energy
me.
you put towards it.
That was
Bruh.
me.
Guys,
being
let's,
able to-
No,
It's
I'm not.
interesting- it's
I'm not
interesting to
gonna. I have
claim-
been taking it respectfully for hours now.
But to be fair, also, it's interesting to claim to be so religious and so close to Jesus and be so negative.
To tell the truth?
No, I'm just saying, just to be so
What would
negative.
Jesus do? He'd be
He would
like,
turn-
"You're a 10,
he would literally
sweetheart."
turn the
You're
other-
objective
he would
reality.
turn the other cheek.
If I believe
He would turn the
he
other
would love
cheek.
me as one of God's children,
Yes.
he would have known that
Yes.
it's my journey and my
Yes,
life.
but he would know
embarrassing
you're
to the
fat too,
religious
whether he loves you or not.
And you know what? Being fat is not bad.
It's embarrassing though to
And
claim
that's
the
the
religion you
fundamental
have.
disagreement we
Which is
have.
how
Insane.
negative, how negative.
Just fucking
It
crazy.
is. Yeah,
Like,
there's gonna be other people who are gonna be like, I don't claim this because it's like this is part of the reason why you're hypocritical.
There's
It's
no
for
hypocrisy.
You claiming to love and be this one big thing, and then to be so negative instead of encouraging or say even anything in actual.
Love thy neighbor,
the best
love
form of
fat, right?
encouragement is what you
I would like to offer the argument that he was encouraging her to look at herself through the eyes of others who will not be giving her an 8. I don't know anything about this man's religious background. I haven't seen anything that's like, oh, he is a horrible Christian hypocrite. I think that he's saying things that they don't like in a manner that they're not used to. But I don't know. I think that was kind of a cheap shot. Anytime you bring someone's religion into it and try to use that as a weapon towards them, I don't like that.
In a constructive way, you kind of just get pink and start yelling.
The only way
Yeah, he gets real like.
The only way
Pink
that
and
I can get a word in when you shrill harpies are screeching is for me to talk loudly.
Oh no, you're really great at over talking. It's one of your best qualities. You respect.
Well, I have to cut down the prattle. That's true.
I'm a terrible moderator. Okay, I'm a dog shit moderator. Okay, hold on. Let me just come in really quick. All right, put your swords away for just a sec. The views expressed by the panelists do not necessarily reflect
Did he redo a PSA?
the whatever podcast. Now, you said. Okay, I have a question for you. Do you I think you said women should view themselves
Not
better.
just women, people in general.
Oh, in general. But so do you think all women should view themselves as 10s?
I would love them to, yes, and not because everyone also agrees with them.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are all women 10s?
I'm attracted to men.
No, I'm not saying whether you're attracted to them, but I'm
Yeah, so
sure
but
you could.
that
I'm
has
sure
to
you
do
can
with- it's
recognize a
perceptive.
beautiful woman.
perceptive.
But do you think all women are 10s?
In their own right.
No.
What, not true.
That's the answer. No.
Are all men 10s?
No.
For sure.
No, but do you think all men are 10s?
In their own right, for
Would-
sure.
In their.
Oh
I don't
my
really
God.
understand
Just answer the
in their
question.
own
No.
right, For
Appreciate
sure.
things, just I can appreciate things that I'm not necessarily attracted to. Does that make
Oh
sense?
my God.
But do you think?
So in your eye, are all men 10s? Like just aesthetically, so just by looks.
I don't know why she frustrates me so much.
Okay.
Because I know that someone thinks they're a 10, in my mind, that's good enough to be part of the 10, yes. Would I necessarily date them? Maybe not.
Well-
But as far as like believing they're a 10, I know, for instance, is ice cream bad just because someone doesn't like the ice cream? No. Everyone's going to have their different opinion of it. And so the fact that someone likes green mint ice cream, for me, it might not be my person, but does it make it bad ice cream? No, it could still be good ice cream. So for that person, maybe they're not necessarily, would I date them, but do I believe they should think they are a 10 is what I said earlier. Yes, I believe they should think they are a 10. I think all people should love
So
themselves.
if we ask the question a
It
different
sucks
way
so much to not love
and
yourself.
said, if you mapped it onto reality, yeah, what would you say then if you mapped it onto reality?
What do you mean?
Are all women's 10 if you mapped it onto reality, rather than how you kind of subjectively feel like they should feel about themselves? If you were to map it onto reality outside of that subjective
I think it
analysis,
would vary depending on where I'm at.
You're in Kazakhstan.
I don't know what the women are.
So what would you say?
Pretty odd,
For example, what would you say?
Stacked.
What would you say Scarlett Johansson would be aesthetically, cross-culturally to most men? Do you think most men would find
9?
her attractive?
Russian milk.
It depends. I'm only talking from someone who you guys all would not find to be attractive. Like I'm not someone you're into, but I know there's men who think that I'm this shit. And different countries I go, like we were talking about it last time. Like I might be like, and someone was clowning. They're like, she's not a Seattle 10, but like I think it really depends on where you're at.
what country could Scarlett Johansson be considered not pretty in?
I don't know. I haven't been to all the countries.
Could you even envision that there is one?
I could, yeah.
You could.
What would you speculate?
I would speculate
She's okay.
that the area where it would be attractive would be in a culture where the people look like that.
What?
Sweden.
So you don't think? So what you saying? Europe? Just Europe? And
I mean, sure, it depends on. I mean, I just think
you don't think
it
Africa?
depends.
Okay, now, so that statement right there, she doesn't believe that if you are in a country where they don't look like you, they won't find you attractive. That's crazy to me. Like that blows my mind.
Probably South Africa. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I mean, it just depends. Like, I'm going to go different places and people are going to receive me different. I was considered to be beautiful in China, but not necessarily someone they would be attracted to, if that makes sense. And when I went to Trinidad, I was the shit. In California, people don't really care that much because I'm not necessarily their societal standards of beauty. So I really think it depends on where I'm at or where the person's at.
I call
I'm not
bullshit.
trying to be mean here, but I don't think you're a 10.
I know you said that.
What did she say?
I'm
See, Catholic. That's why it's Catholic.
I was raised Catholic. What does that have to do with anything?
Here we have another thread here that we can get into. Misty, last time we were on.
Okay, so that ended the discussion about the 1 to 10. I may actually pick up the rest of this video on the next one. I will say that I found it quite shocking. Well, not really. The most shocking thing was the fact that the one chick thinks that you have to look like the people in order to have a higher rating, when I can't wrap my brain around it, but maybe that's just me. But let me know what you thought of this. Let me know if you'd like for me to check out any more of the Whatever podcast, or any podcast, or any videos, what you'd like to see next, because we are on this journey together, and I will see you on the next one.